right, you are welcome once more to Billionaires Business School. Army Billionaire Business School is a school that helps individuals, people to change their mindset to achieve success in every area of life, whatever area of life, that finance, health, education, family life, and relationship. And what we discuss here, we make it to be as natural as possible so that you realize that we are just like you, just like everyday people, and how we are changing our mind to be in tandem with how life should be lived in an easy, free way. Now, today we'll be talking about something that pervades a lot of communities, a lot of countries, and that is the issue of fear. Somebody to be afraid, fear and anxiety, and how to overcome them. No matter the situation you are, at one point or the other, you must have experienced fear, right? There's nobody in this world that will say he has not feel anxious about something before, or being afraid of something, or have fear. Even some people that claim that they fear no one, but at one point in their life, they must have been afraid at a time. So we want to look at fear, anxiety, how to overcome them, and how to live life despite the fear, despite the insecurity, despite whatever situation that may be common in the society where you find yourself now, and how to live victoriously. Because we have realized one thing, that no matter how bad the economy is in any community, in any society, that you will always see people who are succeeding, who are making it. So what is the secret of those people? Why some people succumb to fear, and before you know it, that some people like we discussed last week, some people commit suicide because of fear, because of anxiety, because of which leads to depression and all that. So today we are here to say something about fear, say something about anxiety, and how it is overcome. So you're welcome, Your Highness. Mr. Kennedy, welcome.
Thank you.
Jekaka, welcome. And Palimon,
Thank you very much.
welcome to today's talk, discussion. So, Mr. Kennedy, I would like to start with you. Please, we know if we say fear, we have idea of what fear is. But in your own way, or have you ever experienced fear, and how did you overcome it? Briefly, please.
Thank you. I think everybody, at one point in time or the other, will be afraid somehow. Like me, it has happened to me oftentimes. But the key of my, coming over the fear that might lead to anxiety is trying to cool down,
Yes.
pause, relax, and think before taking the next step. Because they say a hurry cut is a wrong cut. So if I meet a situation that gets me afraid, I calm down and look at the situation around and think very well before I respond. And in that situation, I always come out victorious.
So we should not allow fear to make us take decision. Somewhere they said, do not make decision when you are anxious, when you are afraid. That take decisions when you have calmed down and you have a clear mind. Nzekaka, please, I'm sure at one time or the other, before you get to your age now level, as a family man with grandchildren, now, at one point or the other, you must have had fear, maybe over your children welfare or family, how to feed them. So how did you overcome fear or the anxiety then?
Thank you very much. Fear is part of life.
Okay.
It's part of life, and it depends on how you manage it.
All right.
You learn from other people. Now, you want to be like a Dangote. Follow like our traditional lectured us today concerning some people that has made it in life.
Mm.
You want to live like them, you follow their footsteps. When you have a problem, you look how you solve it because problem is part of life, and it depends on how you solve it. There's nobody that doesn't have problem. Everybody has problem, but how do you solve your problem? That's what matters. The solving problem depends on the way you see it, the way you appreciate it, the way you look at people, the way you want to follow people. You want to be like this man. You study everything about him through email, through any Google. You Google and know much about the person and knows how he solves his own problem. So from there you can key in and do the need.
Parliament.
Yeah.
You you say you're always the happy man, always searching for more.
I'm always searching for more. Knowledge, happiness, and every other thing.
Okay, searching for more. All right, but that doesn't mean that you have not experienced fear at one time or the other, right? So, for example, now maybe what kind of fear have you experienced? Is it fear of of the dark, fear of financial issue, or whatever? What can you tell us? Which of the fears you have experienced and how did you overcome them?
Well, at a point, when I was growing up, at a point I lost my father, who was responsible for my, academic upbringing, and instantly he left this mother earth. I had after the burial of my dad, that was in 2001. It now dawned on me that the responsibilities he was carrying
Mm.
has left. He has left it, and there was nobody to manage my academic, issues. And I had a lot of fears. I really had a lot of fears. By that fears, also affected my academics, the entire level of my qualifications so far.
Mm.
So I had nobody to lean on. I have
Okay.
to stand up by myself and start managing my life.
And here you are today.
So I had a lot of fears while growing up when I
Yeah.
lost my father.
Mm. Like I think fear. So some people have said fear is, so there is like an acronym. They said is fear is fear for false uh, example appearing real, or false evidence appearing real. That's somebody's acronym. It said it's false evidence appearing
Yeah.
real. So but fear is real. I mean, it's part of human emotion, and like Ezekaka said, it's part of life. Okay, so Your Highness, as a businessman and as a family man with children, you have mentored people, you have some staff with you, and have you had fear in business, like especially during 2020 meltdown, COVID-19? I'm sure at one point or the other, maybe, I don't know, how did you manage it?
Well, fear is a psychological thing. It's a mental thing,
Mm.
and it's something that is always in the future. You cannot fear anything that is in the present.
Mm.
You always fear something that is going to happen. You think is going to happen
Ahead.
in the future, and sometimes it can affect you in the present.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about, fear, and maybe the anxiety it causes in the present.
Yeah.
It causes you to make wrong decisions
Mm.
in the present. So, but if you understand that fear is always in the future, and most times, most of the things we fear will not come to pass.
Mm.
Most of the things we fear, most times, will not come to pass. And when we understand it, we'll overcome it. But most times, you know that they said, oh, there are, there are armed robbers in the village, or somewhere. You are afraid. You may not go there. You understand? To now determine your activities. So fear is always in the future. Like you talked about COVID. The time of COVID, I had a different mindset. I had a different mindset. When COVID first came out, and then started talking about some people developing resistance, So I lost the fear. I was afraid initially after it.
You didn't take the injection?
No, I didn't take the injection. I even wrote something then. I talked about that if one person in the universe had developed resistance to COVID,
Okay.
that resistance is that person had developed is already in the mental, yes,
Okay.
the mental frame, and will be taken by any other person. I wrote something. I think that thing is in the Facebook. So fear is a concept that describes how we feel about tomorrow. We feel about tomorrow now, and when we feel that we don't have all the facts together,
Okay.
we don't have all the things that will help us take decision and be strong and be confident. We're afraid. Most times it's a psychological thing, and it will not come to pass. So when we develop, if we understand that, then fear will lose its power. It will lose its power when we know, and then if we now know it, if we see it as something that will stimulate us to act instead of something that we can succumb to. If you are, thinking that tomorrow something will happen, and then today now you begin to act to overcome, to stop that thing from acting, it will be from happening. It will be better. But if you succumb to it, it can cause a lot of problem. It can cause anxiety. I know anxiety would cause you to release some hormones, chemicals in your neurotransmitters that will damage your body. So yes, fear is something that we need to understand. Understand that we are having fears because we have limited knowledge about that circumstance, and it is always in the future. It's not now, because now we have ideas about what is happening now. We know everything that is happening now. So fear is always in the future. The other one is regret. It's a psychological thing. It's a psychological thing. It's not it's something we should learn to overcome.
Good.
I can use it to help us to begin to act, to get the result that we want.
So from what you've said now, one of the ways to even reduce fear or not to have fear of what may happen in the future is to plan ahead.
Yes.
To have a good plan that, okay, this is what I want to have, I want to achieve. Okay. So right now, make plans so that tomorrow will not come, tomorrow will become today, and you will not still have what you want, so that you be able to provide either for family or have your business steady and healthy. Okay. Thank you, Your Highness, and thank you, everybody that has spoken. Now, from what you've said now, we have all agreed that fear causes us to take action, but we should not succumb to the fear to the extent that we will take the wrong action. Good. So now, what I would like us to talk about is strictly how do we overcome fear. For instance, now, or that leads to anxiety. Now, somebody suffers loss, or somebody has planned that this and this will happen, this and this will happen. And it happened that, as some people will say, a coincidence, which I don't really believe right now. And it happens that what we plan to get or achieve did not happen, which now affect the income that comes in, and which can affect other aspects. Or maybe let's say an accident happened, and before you know, it takes a lot of resources and you are found wanting. The children are there, they need food, or your parents or whatever, as a caregiver at one level or the other, or your staff, they need to be paid. Practically, how do you, I'm directing to you, Your Highness, I'd like you to speak on that before. How do you, comport yourself and get yourself out of such situation, given the obvious thing that is happening right now? How do you overcome it?
Well, like I said, like if we use our success principles, our success formula,
Which you taught today.
yes, we use our success formula, it will help us to solve the issue. It will help us for the way to solve any situation any problem that you have. is to be creative. You understand?
Yeah.
You have an accident, for instance. The accident has taken away some certain things from you, maybe a fire outbreak, you're owing the bank, and then your business facility where you are supposed to use to pay the bank has gone down. So what do? You just have to be creative to start with. You look around, what do I have? Okay. What do I have? You now have who? Yourself. If you're still standing, if you're still there,
breathing.
You can now begin to look into yourself, look into the business, look into maybe the goodwill you have, look into maybe the customers you have, look into how to, use those things to create the future you want instead of succumbing to the future you're anticipating that will happen because of this thing that's happened. You can, if it's your staff, you can renegotiate how to pay them. Okay. So the how to face any situation that creates fear in you is to be creative too. Like the challenges we have in Nigeria now. Remember that as we are doing these things, some people legitimately will still be making more money at this situation that we are. Mm-hmm. Do you understand? So their mindset is such that they are creating value. They want to serve the people. They will still look for how to maybe get products that the people can afford, and they make more money and then keep moving. Yeah. So in every situation you find yourself, instead of being negative, be positively creative. Look at what you can do to overcome it. Plan, have a plan, and follow it. And remember what we have studied and what we are getting us to know in this school will get us to know how to achieve anything you want. You need to have what you want, the idea of what you want, set the goal, and then plan towards it and do all that you can to achieve it. So you apply it in everything you want to do. And when you have that mindset, you have that attitude to like that belief system, every challenge that comes loses its power over you. So
that's great. That's great. Wow. So what we should have the right mindset. That's what you're saying.
Yes, the right mindset.
The right mindset. Positive mindset that as long as I'm still alive, as long as I'm still breathing, I will overcome this situation. I will overcome. And like you said, you mentioned something. You look inward and look at the resources you have, part of which is goodwill. Goodwill. And what is goodwill? It has to do with your relationship with people. Okay. In other words, one should be wise and how to use that goodwill with wisdom. Okay. Nzekaka, you want to say something in addition to what His Highness just said? Like, okay, things happen. Okay, things have happened. You never envisaged, never foresaw it, but it happened. Okay, and how do you overcome it?
We are in school here.
Yeah.
And we are learning. And the thing we are learning is helping us.
Exactly.
Like there are decisions we take most times that are not favorable to us. So what we are learning here is to drop those things and cash into what that will help us.
Yes.
And it has been a success all this while.
I will keep recording success as long as we apply what we are learning.
So the school is helping us a lot because the former way of doing things for me have changed most of them. And the new ones I've caged into, they are helping me a lot. So it has been good for me all this while.
Okay, it's a Kennedy. There are some people who are like millionaires at one time. And suddenly things, maybe they took wrong decision and I don't know, one thing or the other happened. And they find themselves, even to eat became problematic. Like, how do they? So what advice will you give such person that may be experiencing what do we call a dire situation, to give them hope that don't lose hope, have the right mindset and apply what you know in a legitimate way, that they will definitely come out of it. What word? Yeah.
Thank you. And so be it's like you when you ask the question, it's like the question is for me.
That's why I mentioned your name.
So I'm not mentioning my name, but like, the question is for me because
Okay,
I've been there.
Okay, I understand what you
And
mean now.
today I am here.
All right. Okay.
So it's just like you read it to me, and as nature will have it, I happen to be one of the students of the billionaire school. The thing is not just theoretical. Whatever we're saying here, we're talking about. If you go home, put those things in practice.
No matter how little.
Putting it and following it. That's one thing I always know is that ndị Igbo na-ekwu say ọrịa awụghị agụrụ.
Sickness is not hunger.
Hunger, because ọrịa wụrụ agụrụ. Iri ha na nri agụrụ ala. Mana ọrịa ị ga-aṅụ ọgwụ chere ya arụ ọrụ before ya ala dịka ndị Igbo ji. You must have to take your drugs judiciously, wait for the drugs to work, then you get to work. So what am I saying? If you are listening to us and you are hearing all what we are saying, they are not fairy tales. Like I said, I'm a good example. You apply these things, you don't look at them as magic, that they will come, they will start working immediately. No. And when you do and live, it's just like mathematics. You leave mathematics for one day, it will leave you for 1 year. So, but when you are constant in practicing what you learn, it will take time before
it will be part of you.
It will be part of you. And as it becomes part of you and you continue, before you know it, it will be hard for you to leave it. And bam, success has been achieved. Somebody will look at you as look at on the screen and say that this person is a champion for 2 minutes on the screen. But that person who is a champion on the screen you are seeing for 2 minutes has practiced for 20 years. That 20 years he's practicing, you are not with him. But what you see, the success is not 2 minutes. He raises his hand, everybody will be jubilated.
So one should be persistent.
Very persistent.
Have the right mindset.
Yes.
Believe that you will overcome this. Believe that whatever way the children will be fed, family will be taken care of, business will bloom, you will have a good health. Just keep hope alive.
Yes, challenge is a part of life. So nobody should rule it out. Challenges are part of life. And as soon as you get over a particular challenge, you know that you have gotten over a particular fear and you have moved into the next, and it will blossom. It's just like a light that is dim. As you days open, it will be brighter.
Okay. Palemo, you want to add anything? You think they've said it?
Like what you were saying earlier. See, a practical example is this. Let's take, for example, a farmer who decided maybe to cultivate some acres of land and probably has to go on loan, borrowing money from any microbank or whatever, just to get tubers of yam, enough to plant on the farm. I know such a farmer must be expecting good yield at the end of the year. But unfortunately, there was a bad weather and probably there was a drought, lack of rain. And the consequence is that there will be losses at the end of the season. And when such things happens to such a farmer, what do you expect that farmer to do? Is to he will feel really bad actually for not having a good harvest.
Sure, sure.
Then
No,
what
but
he
it's
will
happening.
definitely do now is to fall back. If I've had losses this time around, if I must continue my farming, what do I do to have an improvement? That is, probably there are certain things you should have put in place to enable that cultivations to yield very well, which you didn't do. Now, if there was drought,
So that will
if
serve
you
as
had
an
yes,
experience
if
in
you
the
had
future.
maybe a drilled
Irrigation.
irrigation or whatever to
Yeah.
assist your farm, as much as it is acres of land,
Mm.
you couldn't have faced such a bad situation. So these are things, if you had some losses somewhere, you have to sit down, think over it again. Of course, it's going to affect his family and his
Okay.
finances.
Okay.
But what he really has to do is to sit down and plan. See, planning is not a one-day affair.
Yeah.
And if you must succeed, like the last speaker said, you must be consistent in whatever you are doing.
So
It's
how
not
does
because you had losses,
uh,
you want to quit the farming.
what I would
Yeah.
now there's fear sets in, like like you said,
Yeah.
he has borrowed, he's owing. Okay, how, like, his highness said, like he said, we have to either the plan re for with, like, with staff or people is owing you, you restructure. That's a, I've forgotten the word you use right now.
You said you look inward. What have
No,
you?
no,
Replan.
replying, but that's a particular word I'm trying to remember that you used. You know, that okay, for your salary, or how do I pay you?
Renegotiate.
You negotiate. Yes, renegotiate. So from Palima, what I will pick up from what you are saying is this, because the way you are saying it, like, we reply. What about people will be knocking on your door, bang, bang, bang. Oh, God, pay me my money. I don't care whether you have. The point is, oh yeah, me too, I want to use my money. I want to use. So, so I think what His Highness has said, that look, relax. Okay, discuss with the
Yeah,
person.
but Palimo said the same thing.
Yeah.
Just said the same thing. What he said is there was, because his example is even much better. Example of the farmer
Mm-hmm.
who has maybe actually borrowed money
Yeah.
to go and farm how many acres of land.
Yeah.
And the natural thing happened, which he didn't anticipate.
Yeah.
What would he do? See, as he was describing that thing, the only thing he was describing is about the person. Okay? The person will replan. He will think about maybe irrigation. He will think about the people knocking at his door, renegotiate with them.
Okay.
He thinks about maybe the facility
Family
he has
also.
to renegotiate the facility.
Mm.
He thinks about maybe going to study more about droughts
Improve.
and how,
Yeah.
how can we overcome it. It's only him that those things will happen in him. It's not going to happen everywhere. But
Yeah.
most times, as the things happen, people don't see that the thing is happening in that person. They think it's happening in the bank he's going to negotiate. It is that person having a different mindset, having a different mindset, understanding these things, knowing that he can understand this farming better.
Yes.
No, maybe he was not able to read the
Situation.
seasons
Yeah.
and know that at this particular time, last year we had this type of the amount of rainfall. Then it was showing that something else was going to happen. Or we had this thing happen somewhere, earthquake that shows that this type of thing will happen. His sensitivity. So when all the things the person will do to survive, to come out from that problem,
Yeah.
is in himself. That is what I want us to appreciate. And most times we don't see it. And we keep thinking that something could happen outside. And when we think that something will happen outside, that is where fear catches us. Because we can't control anything that is outside us. You cannot control the money that is in the pocket of your friend or your neighbor.
Yeah.
You'll be afraid. You want to go and borrow money from your neighbor. You are afraid because you don't know
what he will say.
But you are sure, or assuming you want to make a business proposal, a good business proposal, which you believe that will go, you are sure that if he does not agree, this other person would agree. So, and it is left for you to deal with yourself, lift up yourself,
Spirit.
your understanding about these issues, and know how to maybe render them, how to relate them with people. So every other thing you want to do that will have success is on yourself, no matter what the situation is. And if you miss it, if you just miss it, but sometimes you can have a loss which you cannot repair.
But somehow You have to continue to.
Yes, you have to continue
find a way
to find a way to go.
Yeah.
Like my son died now. I cannot bring him back. But what do I do? Sometimes you may think that maybe you can go join him, but you think about what the effect it will have on these other people. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So every time when you know that it is your beliefs, it is your thinking, it is your attitude to life that determines what will come to you and how to manage your situations. When you know it, you have succeeded.
Johannes, I was thinking of something before you mentioned it. It was on my mind. You mentioned something to do with family here, and that was my next line of action, question. In the next 5 minutes that we're going to round up this short discussion, how should a mother, or a dad, the school has resumed now. There are some people they be afraid. I hope my child is safe where she is or where he is. I hope he will not fall. I hope this will not happen. Those fear that parents will be having. Maybe your child has traveled somewhere. Like, hey God, let this child be protected. How should a parent, like Nzekaka, you have some of your children are married. You're also having their own children now. I don't know. I know women are more emotional in that regard, that's the way God created them. But as a father, when they were growing up, even now, how do you make sure that you don't have fear that any bad thing will happen to them or they will be involved in an accident?
It's a natural thing.
Okay.
For me, I teach my children certain things that will help them in life. And once they abide by those things I'm teaching them, safety will be of them. Except they derail or they go away from what they are teaching them. Like as they were growing, you give them tutelage on certain things, how to live life righteously or goodly, how you live a good life. And if you engage in so kind of life, it will not pay you well, it will be detrimental to your health and to you. But if you go in this way, it will be beneficial to you. And if any one of them goes out of the right one you ask him to do to the other one, he will, no matter what, no matter how fast or no matter how you try to play it, the consequence must come.
So you feel relaxed about it.
As they're growing, you lecture them, you teach them, do this thing, don't do this thing. Look at those people that live this kind of life, look at their repercussions today. And if you continue telling them like that, most of them will abide by it. If anyone go contrary to it, at the end of the day, the person will suffer it.
So no, you've done your fatherly role
now.
Give advice, so it's left for them to.
Yes.
But what about children?
You'll be continuous now. You'll be telling them every time. Keep on telling them every time. Okay. Some of them will capture you and live like you have just said. Okay. They are radical ones now. No matter what you say, they will go out of it and do their own way. At the end, it will pay them back.
Okay. Johannes, there's something mentioned the other time about mindset. Okay, a child maybe 5 years, I told you, my daughter some time ago, I just got a call that don't know how she fell into a well. She went to play. She's about 3 years, so she'll be 3 years. And when I was called, naturally I felt, that up my mind was at alert, like. Now at a point in time, I'll be thinking, I hope this child is safe. I hope, I'll call him on. I hope she's okay. I hope she's not in a danger area, Until I now realize one thing, that look, best thing is really everything, like you say, everything is happening within you. If you have in your mind that my child is safe, my son, my daughter is safe, no bad thing will happen to my child. Like Nzekaka said, no matter how little they are, make them realize that don't do this, do this. And I think another thing that should be added is you see them safe, believe they are safe. Don't you agree? I think after everything you have done, no matter, because as a human being, no matter the advice you give your children, that your wish, like God will say, your wish is to make them to be safe, not to say, if you like, choose like, if you like, because you're a loving parent. So the Kennedy, with all these things we have said now, like for regarding to children, your daughter is soon be a graduate, so I know what you passed through, how you felt, how you helped to make sure your mind is at peace. How did you have the right mind, I mean stable mind regarding her, that and today she's where she is now? I'm sure you also gave advice at one time or the other, but what was your mindset all the time?
My mindset all the time was you should be safe.
Okay, with your wife and the family members.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you do your best.
Yeah.
Give your counsel.
Yeah.
From all available things like the Bible, yourself, and from the experiences you had from your parents and from people around. You say, one, continue to say. Just like on our Igbo adage say, anọghị ihe na-egbu nwata. Ekwu akarịkwa n'aka na-egbu okenye. You must say, and you pray, thank God that they are safe. Just like what we are learning, you be in present always.
Always, okay.
You affirm it that they are, even if they are going the wrong way. Your affirmations will always help.
Your positive statements,
yes, will always help
them, yeah.
So don't place a cause. Maybe they are angry. You are angry. You this person he angry you. He said no. You say this about always be positive. And when you are positive, it will affect them. Just as the Highness said, it is only you yourself that you can affect. Yeah. And your good, like the book we are reviewing, and your good will flow. Yeah. To meet the person.
Wow, that's great. So we want to draw the curtain today. Before we go, please remember what you said. We are talking about fear and that leads to anxiety, how to overcome them, and how to live successfully, victoriously, or every day. And we have looked at business, how to have the right mindset, okay, and we have also talked about our loved ones, relations, friends, and so I think the same thing applies to our how we relate with people like colleagues, business associates, and neighbors. That we should always have the right mindset regarding them, so that we will not be living in fear that this person dey change tomorrow and start look for way to scam you or treat you badly or harm your family. Okay, I think it's like Johannes, you said, we always have to have the positive mindset that it is because it's what you think that eventually come to reality, right?
Yes.
Good. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we will discuss today. Please watch the video, make comments. If there's any other area you are not clear about, this is life. We live life, okay? Drop your comments, share it to people to hear, to also watch, so that their life will also be lifted. Maybe there's somebody now that's having psychological issue due to long time issue with fear and depression. Let them watch this video so that they come out of it, because we have the power. You have the power in you, and you can overcome any situation that comes your way. And until see you next week, until you see us next week on your device, please live always victoriously and successful. Cheers.